Hello YouTube, Slate Warrior here with another card discussion, and the topic of today's discussion is going to be Solemn Advice, which is the third Solemn counter trap after Warning and Judgment. But before I get to that, I'd just like to do two little quick updates. First of all, I have a new channel art, and I'm going to be linking in the description the channel of the person who made this art for me. It's Roxy. She's an amazing artist, especially. She's good at graphic design, and her channel is really good too. I subscribe to her, and you definitely should too. So I'll link that down in the description. Also, I don't know how many of you care about my baseball life, because I know you guys know that I play, but that's why I haven't been making videos this last week. That's why the Mario Kart video was up. I left like a comment on my own video trying to explain to you guys that I have been busy with baseball this summer, and that's why I hadn't been able to make up a video. But we won the district championship. We won our district, so we're going to the state tournament, and that should be fun. But anyway, enough with that. Let's get back to the card discussion. So the topic today is Solemn Advice, which it has a restriction, and a lot of people aren't liking the restriction. They think that the 3,000 life point cost is too much to warrant this restriction, but I am not the first person to talk about this. Meg capital G, DP, Silent Enigma, a lot of people talked about this already, and I'll just read it for you guys. While you control no other set cards in your spell and trap card zone, when a monster will be summoned, or when a spell, trap card, or monster effect will be activated, pay 3,000 life points, negate the summon or activation if you destroy that card. And an interesting thing I thought about this card's text is that it does say LP for life points. I'm not sure exactly why it says LP for life points. I'm not sure if every card that's coming out that has a life point cost is going to be saying LP from now on, but I thought that was interesting. So, to go over this card's effect. Okay, so you can't control any other set cards in your spell trap card zone. So, just a scenario that Meg capital G went over. If you activate, like, if they summon, alright, and you activate, let's say, Solemn Warning, alright, and they wiretap that, and then you can activate Solemn Advice in response to that wiretap, as long as Solemn Warning was the only other set card that was set before the chain, because if you had Solemn Warning and Solemn Advice set, then Solemn Warning would be face up when you activate Solemn Advice, so that would it costs 5,000 life points, but that is a play that you can make. Okay, it says set cards. So a lot of people think that 3,000 life points is too much for any card, and that, you know, it's obviously going to be a dead card a lot in the late game. But the way I'm looking at this card right now is that I think that I'm going to be testing 3 of them in my deck, and that is because it negates everything. It is better than Solemn Judgment because it can negate monster effects, or at least it can negate more things than Solemn Judgment. I know it has that little clause that we were talking about, but I think that, you know, not having any other back row is definitely worth negating anything that I need. So even in heavy back row decks, I'll still be playing Solemn Advice. Then the 3,000 life point thing. Okay, so of course one of the great things about Solemn Judgment, which is banned now, is that it's always live unless you have 1 life point, because you can always pay half of your life points. And, you know, that is true. It's a card that is always going to be live, and that makes it a lot better, and that's probably why it's banned right now. And even though I personally believe that it should be legal and Solemn Warning should be banned, I guess I can explain that now. I think that, I'm not going to go into too big of depth here, but I think that opening up with Solemn Warning is too good for the life points that you have to pay for it. I think that if you want to negate anything with Solemn Judgment and you have to pay your 4,000 life points if you open up with it, then that's fine. But I think opening up with Warning and only having to pay 2,000 life points to stop your opponent's big play is not okay. I know that Solemn Judgment negates more, but, you know, Solemn Advice negates more. And it's 3,000 life points, and that is more than Solemn Warning, which is 2,000 life points. And, you know, combined with cards like Soul Charge, that could be taking up a lot of your life. Now, I'm not a person who plays very many decks with Soul Charge. I don't hate Soul Charge like a lot of people do. Like, I don't mind it. It's just whatever. I just don't think that it is optimal in a lot of the decks that I'd play. But it does cost life points, and so does Solemn Advice, and so does Solemn Warning. A lot of people are cutting Solemn Warning from their decks because they want to maximize their usage of Soul Charge. They want to play 3 Soul Charge. You know, those Dragon decks, those Mermail decks, you know, whatever. A lot of decks, Soul Charge can be used in anything. So, you know, the meta decks that we're using, Soul Charge would cut Solemn Warning. Geargia is another one that would cut Solemn Warning just so they could use that Soul Charge and get that extra push. So since I don't play Soul Charge in that many decks, I think playing 3 Solemn Advice and a Solemn Warning is good, because I want to open up with Solemn Advice as much as I can. And when I open up with Solemn Advice, I'll set that Solemn Advice, do my monster play. If I'm playing Evilswarm, I'll get my Ophion on board. Depends what I'm playing, of course, but if I get the Solemn Advice down, then I'll have one back row, I'll have a whole bunch of cards in my hand, and maybe they'll be expecting me to, you know, not have a very good back row. They'll expect me to open up bad. The thing with Evilswarm is if I do search that Pandemic, I won't be able to set it because, you know, Solemn Advice needs to be live. So yeah, Solemn Advice is a card that I want to test at 3 just simply to increase my chances of opening up with it in the game, and I think that people will test it, definitely. It's not out yet. It's not going to be out for a while because the new Challengers is a long time away, but I think that when it does come out, a lot of people will be playing it in different ways, and we'll see the best. I know that Solemn Warning, when it came out, a lot of people thought, oh, 2,000 life points too much, they didn't play it, and then, you know, they realized that negating summons is really good, so they played 3 again to maximize the amount of times they'd open up with it. I want to open up with Solemn Warning every game that I play with a deck that has Solemn Warning, so opening up with Solemn Advice is going to be really good. I think that even if it is your only set card. Now, the thing about Solemn Advice is that if you draw it, you know, if you're top decking and you draw Solemn Advice and you have less than 3,000 life points, which is a thing that will definitely happen if you're running 3, that's bad. But I think the fact that it negates everything is making up for that as well. That's just me. I haven't tested the card yet. It's not on DN. I don't think it's on Dev Pro either, even though I normally get the cards first. So, you know, that's just something that we're going to have to deal with if we want to play 3, and I do want to play 3. Other people may decide not to play 3. So this card, I believe, is extremely strong. I don't know if I mentioned this yet, but to compare it to Solemn Warning and Solemn Judgment in terms of effect, it does negate monster effects, which Solemn Judgment did not, and Solemn Warning only negates stuff that summons, so it negates everything, but only if it has a summon effect. So, you know, I think obviously the effect is, like, not including the cost and, you know, the activation requirement. You know, it's obviously a better card. It's counter trap, spell speed 3, it can negate anything. So, well, except for Super Poly and Spiritualism, which Mega Capital G mentioned. I already knew about the card Spiritualism, but yeah, you can't activate cards in response to Spiritualism. Okay, so in conclusion, I think that Solemn Advice is an extremely strong card that is going to be meta-defining when it comes out. I really do think that people are going to be playing multiples of Solemn Advice, and people are going to want this card hit, even though I personally don't think it needs hit because of the clause and the amount of life points that it takes. I think that the life points that it requires aren't that big a deal because a lot of people say that life points don't matter in this game, so you know, I'm going to be playing 3 just so I can get at least 1 negation. If I have to pay 6,000 life points to negate 2 of my opponent's pushes, I'm completely fine with that. I mean, you can't activate 3 unless they use an Upstart Goblin, but, you know, I'd go to 0 life points to use 3 Solemn Advices, but okay. So for the life points, you know, it's a little bit hefty, but I think that if you have the life points, I don't know why I wouldn't want to activate it, but like I said, I will test it, everybody else will test it, we'll see what people like to play, and then we'll have to adjust our decks to that. You know, Wiretap is a card that can negate the activation of Solemn Advice, and people are playing Wiretap, especially Hat, Dolce, Girya plays that a lot. So, you know, Wiretap is a card that is in the meta right now, and I guess we're just going to have to deal with that if we want to activate Solemn Advice. Alright, so thank you for watching this next card discussion. I'm going to be making a lot more videos, I believe, coming up soon. But anyway, like this video, and favorite it if you liked it that much, and share it with all your Yu-Gi-Oh friends, and comment down below, what do you think about Solemn Advice? How many are you going to play in your decks once it comes out? What kind of decks are you going to play it in? And I will see you later, YouTube.